Is there something or someone to invest in to support your success? Is fear of failure holding you back? Is it time to bring something to completion? Are you trying to do too many things at once? These are all pressures and questions that this cycle of the Human Design Weather for October 13th to 19th will bring. Hello there. Happy October. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving. Welcome to Human Design, Weather or Not, with me, Marco Fraser, where we're looking at the cosmic frequencies that are coming through that could pull you off track, but if you're aware of them, they could also support you. So let's dive right in here. So this cycle starts October 13th at 2:19 p.m., going until October 19th at 6:24 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Universal time coordinates, that's coming in October 13th at 8:19 p.m., going until October 19th at 12:24 p.m. So remember to convert that to your own time zone so you know when it starts and ends for you. We always start with the Sun-Earth activations because that's 70% of the conditioning field. We have the Sun moving into gate 32, the trait of continuity and duration in the splenic center, our most primal awareness center that operates in the now and is associated with survival, health, and well-being. This is a tribal trait, so carries the underlying theme of mutual support. Think of tribe as family, community, your business, or the business you may be involved in, or any group that you feel a part of. The keynote for this trait says the only thing that endures is change. Now, this trait is part of the entrepreneurial business side of the tribe. The tribe needs resources in order to build and sustain its people, its community. You need resources in order to sustain your life, your family, your community. Tribal traits are inherently conservative, but there's also a recognition that in order to succeed, you do have to keep up with the times. If things become stagnant and there's no change, you won't have continuity in the business. It's not going to survive. You're not going to have that continuity in being able to bring in the needed resources. So there's not going to be duration or longevity of the business or the group, of the community group, it could be, for example. So it's likely to fail in that case. And this is a trait that's wired to remember its failure. So you could notice that in this particular cycle, that you really have this remembrance of the times when things didn't work out. Every splenic gate carries a primal fear, and here it is fear of failure. Now, that can be really motivating on one hand. I don't want to fail, so I'm gonna, delve into this and investigate and get things in place and make sure that it's correct. I'm gonna invest in things that are appropriate to move me forward, move my business forward, my community forward. But if the fear takes over, then it becomes very debilitating. It's going to bring a pressure to want to conserve material success. Right? So holding on to the resources that you already have. It carries a potential awareness and instinct. The tribe has this instinct honed with experience to know what and whom to invest in to support your material success and the material success, again, of your tribe, whatever that means for you. Who has that raw talent? Or what can be brought in, invested in, that can be developed and transformed to support that continuity, to support the survival, to support bringing in those resources. Although this trait has its inherently conservative nature, it also brings an understanding that there's a time when change must happen. And radical conservatism, grabbing onto those old ways, it's just going to lead to death of the business, so to speak, or death of the ability to achieve the needed resources. So think about maybe newspapers and so on that, I'm not going to go to the digital format, right? A lot of those businesses closed down. They didn't make it. There's an understanding that there's a point at which change needs to occur or you get left behind. And when that decision is made, okay, we got to go digital, for example, wow, it can happen actually quite quickly. So, although this is probably the most conservative gate and can have that fear of change, change is in its very nature. Therefore, it's important to really delve into the details to support that awareness of who or what to invest in. The potential opportunity is that you may get a knowing, an instinct, a smell for, or a nose for who and what resources to invest in to support your success and the success of your business or group that you're part of. You may also gain an understanding of the fear of failure as a motivator. Oh, yeah, that little niggles there. And yeah, okay, that actually is keeping me moving forward. I don't have to be afraid of the fear, so to speak. The instinct that this trait brings may also help you to know what to divest yourself of. What are you putting energy into that's actually not paying off? Great time to contemplate that during this cycle. The caution that comes with this activation is that you might have an awareness that change is needed or even inevitable, but with a tendency to just want to do it and not do the necessary investigation. If you gloss over the details, there may eventually be a price to pay. It may not be the correct investment for you. There could also be the potential to be overwhelmed and paralyzed by the fear of failure or the fear of change. Now, this trait is being grounded in the Earth's position, gate 42, the gate of growth. It's also called the gate of increase, the gate of completion. It's in the sacral center, that motor that generates our vital energy and is here to invest in satisfying work. It's part of the collective, abstract, experiential circuitry, going through cycles of experience and then making sense of them to gain the wisdom. Its keynote says the expansion of the resources which maximizes the development of full potential. The expansion of resources here is to break out of the fixed habits and patterns of logic and use this vital energy to push into something new, to gain a different human experience, which has the potential to bring wisdom and therefore growth. It brings maturation. You can mature through the experiential process, which is why this trait is actually part of the channel of maturation. This is experiential. And to be able to commit to a new experience and really be in it, you can only go through one experience at a time. This is one of the main rules of thumb for all of the experiential circuitry. It's rooted in having a diversity of experience. And this brings us to another rule of thumb of the experiential circuitry, which is to never repeat an experience. The potential opportunities that come with this activation is that it's going to bring a pressure to finish things, to bring things to completion. So if you have anything that you need to bring to completion and wrap up, this energy could be really supportive for you. This is also the energy to work towards your growth through experiences. Now, at the same time, if you go after experiences that are not correct for you, you can spread yourself too thin. You can maybe be in too many experiences at the same time and use up energy on things that are not aligned for you. If you're not following your own strategy and authority, you may also bring something to completion out of this pressure when it's not actually time to do so. When we look at the Sun Earth positions together, there could be new experiences that support your growth and in turn may support bringing in new resources and knowing what to invest in. As you bring something to completion, you may gain the wisdom that can come from both success and failure, that supports overcoming any fear of failure that you bump up against and successfully making changes needed to enhance bringing in those needed resources. There could also be a tendency to try to be in multiple experiences at once, not gaining the wisdom, and failing to make change, resulting in stagnation. Or there could be this investing in something that's not of value out of fear of failure without adequate investigation or because you don't have enough experience. So the polarities can always be there. All right, let's move on to our channels now. When the transit field creates a channel, everyone that doesn't already have it in their design, their chart, their body graph is receiving activation of the related traits and qualities. This is a pretty low key cycle. We've got two channels that are being created, but it's by transits of the moon. So they're just going to be little tasters, little samplers, because the moon only activates a gait or a trait for about 10 or 11 hours, give or take. So I'll just briefly go through these. The first comes in on October 16th at 1:44 a.m. going until 12:20 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. UTC, that's coming in October 16th at 7:44 a.m. going until 6:20 p.m. We have the channel of discovery, a design of succeeding where others fail, or it can be failing where others succeed. The moon's moving into gate 29, the trait of saying yes. In the sacral center, connecting with its electromagnetic gate 46, the trait of determination of the self and love of the body vessel. It's one of the love gates. That's in the G center, which is about our identity, our direction, and love in life. And it's being activated by Venus. This is part of the abstract experiential circuitry. It brings a pressure to commit to an experience of life. It brings an opportunity for going deep into discovery in a way that brings persistence through the ups and downs of going through the experience. It always is cyclical, it always has its ups and downs, and in turn, that can bring you more deeply into yourself. We have the sacral center with its energy to work, connecting to the G center, the center of the self. Again, it's associated with love, identity, and direction in life. So, at one level, this is the pressure to work on yourself experientially. Gate 46 is the gate of love of the body. So, there's an aspect of this channel of really living life through your body. It's a channel that can empower through that gate 29 the love of the body. Of course, the polarity of empowering hate of the body can be there too. There's a serendipity that can be here. When you surrender to a correct experience and just be in it, you're in the right place at the right time. This is the design of succeeding where others fail. Or if you don't enter into it correctly and can't just be in it, it can bring failing where others succeed. The caution here is saying yes to something out of this pressure and not out of your own strategy and authority. You could end up being in an experience and committed to something that's hard to get out of. And if it's misaligned for you, it's going to be abysmal. All right, next, and our other channel for this cycle comes in on October 17th at 9:40 a.m., going until 8:40 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. UTC, that's coming in October 17th at 3:48 p.m., going until October 18th at 2:40 a.m. We have the channel of abstraction, a design of mental activity mixed with clarity. And we've seen this quite often over the past cycles because we've got the south node of the moon sitting in gate 47. This is being created by the moon activating gate 64, the trait of confusion in the head center with its pressure to be inspired and to think and to make sense of things, connecting with its electromagnetic, that gate 47, the trait of oppression and realization in the ajna center. As the keynote says, it brings a busy mind and the potential for mental clarity in the making sense process that can then be shared with others and may in turn support those others in their making sense process. It's all about putting the pieces of the puzzle together. That brings us to our long-term transits. The long-term transits are created by the outer planets and the nodes of the moon. They're with us for longer periods of time, years in some cases. So your not self mind can start to think that they're part of you, even when it's not something that you have in your own design. And when that transit finally moves on, well, that could be a little confusing for the mind. The north and south nodes of the moon start this cycle in line one, and then the nodes are going to go direct. They normally move in a retrograde motion on October 15th, so we'll be back to line two, which we just got out of last cycle. The north node is in gate 22, the trait of grace and the emotional solar plexus center, and the south node is in gate 47, the trait of realization and oppression in the ajna center, our mental awareness center. We just talked about that in the channel. The nodes are about what we see in the world and what's in our environment. For gate 22, line one brings a politeness, this grace to allow others to go first, and opens them up to being attentive to you and what you want to convey after they've gone and had their turn. Or the polarity can be there. It can bring a rudeness with its predictable qualities and consequences of closing people off and potentially being humiliated. For gate 47, line one brings a mental processing of experiences to understand what didn't work so that the information can be used to determine what might work in the future. Or it can bring mental processing of experience with the sole purpose of determining who to blame. The expression that we're likely to see, because most people are not selves when we look out at the world, is playing of the victim and blaming others for whatever is happening. On October 15th, again, we go back to line two. That'll be at 9:37 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Line two, then, for gate 22 in the emotional center, brings a superficiality to expression that can open social interaction with strangers, or it can result in a noticing of others in a way that closes one off to social interaction. And for gate 47, there's going to be this being busy to avoid the making sense process. Although there's always the question of whether what one is being busy with is truly of value. Jupiter is sitting in the trait of detail in the throat center, and it's part of the mental logic circuitry. It's sitting in line four, called asceticism, which means withdrawing from any indulgence. This is going to bring the pressure to withdraw and work out all the detail to be able to express any opinions or theories that you have, so that then when the opportunity arises to share it, it can be expressed clearly. You could find yourself really wanting time alone out of this pressure to work out all of the details. Sometimes the ego gets involved, though, and it can be about working out all the details so you can impress others rather than simply sharing in a way that others can follow and understand. Jupiter is going to be expanding this quality. Always keep in mind as well that this is part of the mental process, and the facts and the details may actually pan out not to be true. Saturn sitting in gate 36, part of the abstract experiential circuitry in the trait of crisis. It's in line five, called the underground, and we only have the detriment present in the world, which says a nervousness that can lead to self-betrayal. Self-betraying nervousness in times of crisis. So this is when you get so nervous or so excited about going into a new experience that you just let it go and it doesn't happen. So that's where the self-betrayal is. You abandon going into the experience. Uranus, with its unusualness, its revolution and sidetracking qualities, is sitting in gate 20, the trait of the now. It's in line one, called superficiality, a reliance on shallowness. Now, yeah, this is just the expression of it. This is a first line, which is always investigative and introspective. It's a gate that's part of integration, the backbone of survival. So there's an awareness this line brings of what's going on around you in the world, but what you actually express could be quite superficial. It'll be about what you're aware of in the now, like, oh, huh, the pressure just changed. I think there's a new weather system moving in. So it comes across as superficial, but if you're in a life or death situation, whoa, with this trait, you can be very clear on what's going on. Gate 25, Neptune's position. This is the trait of universal love and the spirit of the self in the G center. It's going to start this cycle in line 3 called sensibility, which has a developmental theme that says the recognition that innocent action does not in itself guarantee success, right? Very sensible. It brings the power of the ego to withstand failure and shock and still maintain its nature. It also says the power of the spirit to withstand failure and shock. It's going to shift on October 16th at 11:13 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time into line 2, which is called the existentialist, devotion and dedication to the now. So strong pressure between this and our gate 20 position, Uranus position. Just be here now. The exaltation for this says the perfection of the intellect through concentration and focus on what is rather than what could be or has been, right? The future or the past. The innocence of the self and its protection can only be maintained in the now. This trait is meant to operate in the now from a place of innocence, the spirit of the self. Now, the detriment says a dedication that can never be free of personal motivation and its attendant projections, a lack of innocence in the now that risks protection through projection. So this is the ego getting involved, right? Want to be noticed for my self-sacrifice and my innocence. And so, there's this motivation, this personal motivation instead of being motiveless. Pluto, with its qualities of inner truth and ruling larger cycles, continues in gate 60, the trait of limitation in the root center. It's still in line 6 called rigidity, which brings a frequency that can help you to accept limitations that you come up against and not try to push through them until you see mutation can really take place. Line 6 always wants to know that it's probably going to get the outcome that it's looking for. Or there can be this agitation. I mean, it's still waiting. You know, you have to be restrained. You have to be rigid. You can't push through, but it's agitating. You don't like it. Remember that for any of these traits, if you don't have them in your design, it's just pressure from the transit field. You can observe it playing out around you. You can learn from it. But whether there's anything for you to do with it is going to be according to your own strategy and authority. So watch that it's not puppeting you. And that brings us to the end of the cosmic weather for this cycle. If you want to run your own chart, you can go to jovianarchive.com. If you're new to human design and you just want to understand the basics of the body graph at a high level, what's the red and the black about, the different geometric shapes, a little bit of background on the system, you can grab my free Human Design Basics mini course at margotfraser.com/human-design. I put a couple of interviews that I've done in there as well. And everyone that gets onto my list, I also send out an email with the summary of the Sun-Earth positions and a little nature sponsor for that cycle as well. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our weather for this cycle. If it's correct for you, you're going to have the support of the frequencies of this cycle to know who or what to invest in to support you in gaining your needed resources, whether material or spiritual, and to help you break free of any fear of failure and make changes that support you and any business you might have, your family, your community. If you're ready to bring something to completion, if this is the right time, this is also going to be a very supportive cycle. In the collective, the not self collective around you, expect to see a tendency of the negative side here, a tendency to hold on to old ways, to be afraid to change, to want to avoid that. And people that are spreading themselves too thin and not taking time for that maturation, getting the wisdom of experience, or not bringing things that are ready to be completed on come to a close. All right. Well, have a great cycle. May you know, live, and love the magic of your true nature. Until next time, bye for now.